And hello there, everybody. Welcome to Stay Tuned Sports. It's your good friend Jimbo here, by myself today. Some stuff going on during the week. Sorry about yesterday that we couldn't do our power rankings show, our Tuesday countdown. But I'm gonna get my power rankings today, as well as we're gonna talk a little bit about some of the trades that happened yesterday in the NFL. Some head scratchers. Some really good moves, in my opinion. But before we get all into that, make sure you guys head down, like, subscribe, share all the link out here to all your friends and family. Also, down in the description, I'll have the our donation station as well as our merch store link in there. We have some new stuff over there at the merch store. King put in there. So, getting into it here. Yesterday was the trade deadline for the NFL. It got kicked off basically with, and we kind of knew this trade was coming, but just didn't know when it was coming. The Detroit Lions acquired Zadarius Smith from the Cleveland Browns. Smith and 2026 seventh round draft pick were sent to Detroit, and a 2025 fifth round and 2026 sixth round selection is coming back to the Browns. The main reason why we basically knew this was going to happen was because of the injury to Aiden Hutchinson. Seemed like Detroit gave it 2 weeks to see if their defense could put some type of pressure on the quarterback that Hutchinson was doing up until the injury, and just really wasn't working out for them. So now they got a legit threat that could pressure the quarterback, and this only strengthens that Detroit team. And let's not forget too, there's still a chance that if the Lions make it to Super Bowl, Hutchinson could play in the Super Bowl. This kind of goes up there with speaking of my Eagles here, the Terrell Owens playing in the Super Bowl 2004 Super Bowl with him and Don McNabb, and had a lights out game. He had a if the Eagles won, probably would have been the MVP of the game. So I mean, Detroit needed to do something. As far as draft picks, I mean, they really didn't give up anything. I mean, the Browns got something back, and I think I brought this up on the show a couple weeks ago that you're going to start seeing over these coming seasons, years, it's going to be very hard to see second and third round draft picks, even first round draft picks, being traded to teams for players. Because, in my opinion, I think because of the NIL deals that are going on in college football right now, you're going to have in college football the players that may be projected to be 6th, 7th round undrafted players stick it out another season at the school that they're at to make a couple extra dollars through nil, and because they're not going to really make it in the NFL, so might as well get your money while you still can. So these late draft picks, like the 5th, 6th to 7th round draft picks, really don't cost much anymore. And I'm sure our buddy King here, would give his opinions about the not caring about the draft picks, and I'm sure next time he's on here he may bring it up and talk about it. But I think both teams, the Lions and the Browns, came out pretty equal. I don't think one fleeced the other. The Lions got a top tier rusher for that defensive line, and the Browns got some extra draft picks that when the time comes that they could, especially 2025 and a 2026 draft pick, they should be pretty close to being out from underneath the Deshaun Watson contract. So they'll be loading up to rebuild. And Who knows? Maybe they could turn multiple picks into a higher draft pick, like a higher second or third round pick. But this was definitely a big get for Detroit. Um, who's in my opinion, and I'll get to the power rankings, towards the end of the show here, um, is playing probably the best football in the NFL. I know the Chiefs had to go to overtime to beat the Rams, and even though DeAndre Hopkins had a big game, maybe that connection between him and Mahomes starts clicking now, and maybe start playing better football than the Lions. But Lions are playing very good football right now, and it's going to be very tough to outperform them come playoff time. Another trade that happened, I thought this was a really good trade. And this name was, we kind of knew this name was going to get traded. Mike Williams from the Jets being traded to the Steelers for a 5th round draft pick. I said for about a year or two that I thought the Steelers needed one more wide receiver to go along with Pickens. And now that they got Mike Williams, who, when healthy, is a very good receiver. And it turns out, too, that he actually had a visit planned with the Steelers before signing with the Jets this offseason. It's just that the Jets didn't let him leave the building and signed him before he could go to Steelers. So he actually had a plan to go visit the Steelers, and now here he is, and makes that offense a little bit better too. I mean, the defense. We always talk about the defense. Defense is defense, and they're one of the top teams, if not the top defense in the league. And then you have Russell Wilson, who so far through 2 games has surprised me and played well. And now that he has 2 good receivers, decent running game, maybe that offense is could get a little bit better than it's been these past few seasons. But I think that was a really good get for the Steelers, and again, a 5th round draft pick for a top 15 guy, wide receiver. So that I thought that was really good. This one I cringed at because it only is helping the Commanders. Marshawn Lattimore being traded from the Saints. Obviously, the Saints were in a selling mood after losing 7 straight, firing Dennis Allen. After the season, they got to blow up the whole thing. They can't half-ass it. I think Dennis Allen should have been fired last year, but they gave him another chance. But the Saints get a 3rd round pick, a 4th round pick, a 6th round pick, whereas Washington gets Lattimore and a 5th round pick. So Saints got a nice haul for Lattimore, but Lattimore's young, and now I'm curious to see how does he shut down A.J. Brown? How does he shut down Devontae Smith? Nothing against the Giants, but don't really have to worry about the Giants wide receiving core. Dallas is a mess this year, so I mean, does it really matter who he covers there? But this just helps that defense out. I've watched a couple of the Commanders games this season, some with King, some with just on my own, and that defense was their weak point of the team. I mean, obviously, the offense is just playing very well right now, and with this move, this helps shore up a little bit of that defensive problem, and makes the Commanders a little bit harder to overtake first place, because right now I think they are a half game or a game above the Eagles for first place. So I mean, there's this only helps them, and this coming weekend we'll see how well it does help them. And then of course, staying with the NFC East, Jerry Jones said in the beginning of the season, we're going all in. We're all in. Well, I mean, he made a trade move for Jonathan Mingo. I mean, from the Panthers, And the funny part is, he traded a fourth round draft pick for Mingo and a seventh round draft pick when Mike Williams was available for a fifth round draft pick. Like, what is Jerry doing? Like by this point, like now I'm questioning, is he all there? Like Dallas is not going to be good until Jerry is done being GM. I said that for a couple years now, but this move here just proves that. Um, he was Jonathan Mingo was a second round draft pick, I believe 2 years ago, and so he's young, and he'll help CD Lamb a little bit, but why did Dallas trade for anybody when like Jerry has to see his team is in shambles, is in trouble, and you have a head coach that is not going to be back after this year. Um, the salary cap is going to start catching up to them if they're not over the cap by the off season. They got to pay Micah Parsons coming up. I think they have one other or two other players that are young that are going to want a big contract now. You just pay Dak Prescott. He's basically your quarterback for the rest of his career. CD Lamb, you just paid. So, like, I don't know why he just moved, but this was my head scratcher of all the trades that happened yesterday. But to kind of circle back, I really do like that Mike Williams Pittsburgh Steelers trade there. I think other than Zadarius Smith, this was probably my second one best move out of all the trades that happened yesterday. Me personally, as far as the Eagles, I'm glad we didn't make any moves. I mean, our offense and defense are. I think I saw either fifth or sixth in the league. So our defense is playing very well. Our rookie cornerbacks are playing well. We don't need safety help, so it's like I'm glad that Howie didn't reach out like a couple of seasons ago with Robert Quinn and Bird from Tennessee. He traded for, which both guys for what we paid for them flopped. So I'm happy they stood pat. Maybe could have got a backup running back to like another bruising running back to spell Saquon, because Gainwell he's good, but it's just like he'll have one not good game and then a good game. Like, we need consistency behind Saquon as far as running, and these past few games has shown that is our identity. We got to run first. We got to be physical, and then we'll be able to start passing. We can't pass first. So, but I'm happy we stood pat. So other than that, now I will give my power rankings for this past week. So I don't have the cool graphics that King puts up here or anything. So you guys gotta kind of bear with me here, but we're still gonna go the same setup. So I'll do my top 5 booty cheek teams up to this point. So at 1 as my worst team in the NFL, Carolina Panthers. Really, yes, they won, but it was the Saints. The writing was on the wall, and I think we even talked during the one live stream we were doing that if there was a game that the Panthers could get a second win, it was this game, and sure enough, it was. So they're still my worst team in the league. Speaking of the Saints, they were my second worst team, and I kind of want to say they're kind of creeping up to the Panthers to overtake them as the worst team in the league. Derek Carr is just, it's just weird. Like, he's just not good anymore. Like, I don't know what happened with, early on in his Raiders career. Like, he was a top quarterback, and now he's just garbage. And after you lose 7 straight games, it's hard to say that you're a good team or you're slightly below excuse me, below average. Um, you're garbage. So I have them as my second worst team. Third worst team, I have New England. Um, they played Tennessee this past week, who is actually my fourth worst team. So I'll put that down right now. Um, and New England almost pulled it out, and there was Drake May had a couple exciting plays there, especially towards the end of the game where he scored the touchdown, passing touchdown. Um, but New England has a lot of problems. They're very young. They got to figure out that offensive line before Drake May is just basically the next Daniel Jones, just ruined from getting just murdered. They need to get wide receiver help on that offense. There's a lot of holes, and it's going to be a couple seasons before we see the Patriots be competitive. Um, Tennessee, ever since they went away from Will Levis, they're still not the best team out there. They are maybe slightly playing a little bit better, but there's still too many issues on that team. So I got to keep them at my number 4 spot of the booty cheeks. And to round them out, Miami Dolphins. I really thought a couple weeks ago when Tua came back, that would have turned the team around and got them back to all clicking and playing at that playoff level. It just hasn't gone their way. And just again, same thing with that, with just like the Patriots. The offensive line is just terrible. Tua is doing the best he can and trying not to get murdered and get another concussion, but Dolphins are just bad. So that is my top 5 booty cheeks for this week. Moving on to my top 12 power rankings. Starting at number 12, I have the Houston Texans. They lost this week, and what me and King are worries with them leading up to this game has finally shown. Their record is not who they are, and they resemble to me how Philly was last year, when, especially right at that time when Philly went and had that collapse. Not saying Houston's going to have that collapse, but Philly wasn't that record. They were an average team with a very good record. And I feel like that's what Houston is right now. Moving into my top 12 team here, or power rankings, is the Los Angeles Chargers. Going into the season, I had this feeling that Harbaugh could turn this team around, even though the Chargers and Herbert didn't have a starting, like a legitimate number 1 wide receiver. But so far, it's worked. They're playing good football. They're if you watch some of their games, it's actually pretty exciting games. It's not boring. It's not blowouts. And this past week they showed it. So I moved them up into my top 12 at number 11. Number 10, I have my Philadelphia Eagles, who last week I had at number 7. I dropped them down to 10, even though it was a win. And it's because of Sirianni. I know I've been beating this dead horse over and over. He's going to cost us a chance at the Super Bowl, or even winning the Super Bowl. Not this team. Not the offense, not the defense. They are legit outplaying their head coach. It feels like their head coach, Sirianni, is trying to lose games, and they are just doing that much more to make sure they win. They were up 22, 23 points, whatever it was, and almost gave that game away on a last-minute drive of the game. At halftime, they were up 3 scores, 4 scores, all because Sirianni kept going for 2-point conversions, not going for the field goals. until it was a 57-yard field goal, and I said, "Go ahead, Jake, go make it." And then he misses it. Like, just bad decisions he's making, and he's going to cost his team. So that's why I actually dropped them a couple down, because I just don't trust any of his decisions. Number 9, I got Atlanta Falcons. They moved up 2 spots from last week. I'll admit this, the past couple weeks, I've been waiting for like the carpet to come out from underneath the Falcons and not play good, like play like a booty cheeks team. But we're this far into the season, and Kirk Cousins, he's playing good. He's playing lights out, and he has that team going too. It was against Dallas, but they just moved the ball at will, on them. And yeah, so that's why I got Atlanta up there at number 8. At number 7, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers, moving down 2 spots. Pretty much the only reason why is, they were on a bye this past week, so it's hard to keep them in the same spot while other teams were playing better or played and won this past week. So that's kind of why I dropped them down. Green Bay Packers, I had at number 4, dropped them down to 6 this week. I got worries with them. They play Detroit, and Jordan Love just can't stop. He's the Will Levis of the NFC. That interception for 6, I believe it was right before half, should never have happened. Whether it was a slippery ball, whether it was like, slipped out of his hand so he had to push it, like that should have never happened. It should have at best took a sack. Worst case, just get the ball higher and get it out of bounds, throw it out of bounds. He threw it right to the defender. So there's a lot of questions for me with Green Bay, and it starts with Jordan Love. At number 5, I got the Baltimore Ravens, moving up 3 spots, had a bounce back game, played good. I probably could have moved them up farther, but I don't want to move up too far. Until I'm kind of like King now. I need to see some consistency now. You picked up a wide receiver at the trade deadline here. You helped out that defense with picking up what was the other guy? Let me see here real quick. Tre'Davious White, that's what it was, from the Rams. So you help pick up some defensive help. Now I just need some consistency, and they could be a top 4 team. So that's why I got them at number 5. At number 4, I got the Buffalo Bills, moving up 2 spots. Played a very good game this past week. Seems like they're in their stride. They're in their midseason form, as we would like to say it. So they should be a tough team going down the stretch here. Number 3, got Washington Commanders, staying at number 3 from the week before. Like I said, with the trade talk, they picked up some good players, helping that defense out with adding Marshawn Lattimore. Offense is really good. And then with this win against the Giants this past week, granted they only won by 5, but I think with this Marshawn Lattimore trade, if he was already there, that game would have been a lot worse. So I think they're pushing, depending on how the Chiefs go, how the Chiefs play, who are my number 2 team coming up here, how the Chiefs play going forward, I could see the Commanders kind of overtaking the Chiefs, even if they're undefeated. I know King said they got to be number 1 until they lose and this and that. Yeah, it's impressive that they're undefeated, obviously, but they're winning close games and against teams that they should be blowing out with the team they have. Especially with DeAndre Hopkins now on the team for 2-3 weeks. So that's why I kept them at number 2. And at number 1, kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier in the show here, Detroit Lions, big win against Green Bay a statement win against Green Bay, because going into the game it was, oh, they're a dome team, they can't play in the elements, they can't play outside. It was raining so bad. Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator of the Lions, could not see through his glasses, and he was still out coaching that Green Bay team. So they're playing lights out right now. They are the best team in the NFC right now, maybe even in the NFL as well. So one last thing before we go, or I go. Thursday night game, we got the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Baltimore Ravens. I am going with the Bengals this week. Like I said in my power rankings, until I see some consistency from the Ravens, it's going to be sketchy when it comes to me picking them for the power rankings for the games. Bengals have played a lot better as of late. They picked up a running back at the trade deadline, so more so depth help, but he's a good running back. They picked him up from the Bears. And the last time the Ravens played the Bengals, it actually went to overtime, and the Ravens were able to pull it out. So I'm thinking the Bengals will actually stop the sweep and will pick up the win this week. So I think that's gonna be it for us, or for me. I'm so used to having King here. Keep saying us, but that's gonna be it for me today. Make sure you guys click like, subscribe, share the channel here. Make sure your notifications are on, because we do live streams for the Thursday night, all the Sunday games, well, the 1 o'clock games, and the Sunday night game, Monday night game. Make sure you check the channel out tomorrow to see if we're doing the Thursday night game or not. I usually do at least the first half, sometimes the whole game with King, but it just depends. Like I said, too, in the descriptions here, I'll have the donation station down there, as well as our merchandise store. Any way you guys can help us with the donations, or go to the merch store, that's kind of like a donation, and you get a cool shirt, cool hoodie, whichever you purchase. And we much appreciate it. We're trying to get 200 subscribers before the end of the NFL season. We're close. We're right there. Just need that little push over. So, like I said, make sure you subscribe. Much appreciate it. So till next time, this is your good friend Jimbo, signing out.